I never thought jealousy would turn me into someone I didn't recognize. When I F20 first started dating Ryan M2, everything felt like a dream. He was charming, ambitious, and so attentive to me in ways no one else ever had been. We met in college, and within weeks he was introducing me to his friends, taking me out on thoughtful dates, and telling me I was the best thing that ever happened to him. But somewhere along the way, I began noticing small cracks in that perfect picture. It wasn't the obvious red flags you'd expect, it was the subtle things. The way he would light up when a particular girl in his class messaged him. The way he always kept his phone face down when we were together. The sudden shift from "I'll tell you everything" to "don't worry about it, it's nothing." At first, I told myself I was overthinking. Everyone has friends. Everyone gets texts. But when I scrolled through social media one night and saw him tagged in a photo at a bar with his arm casually slung around another girl, I didn't know I felt that cold, sharp stab of jealousy I'd never experienced before. I didn't say anything immediately. Instead, I tested him. I asked how his night had been. He said just hung out with the guys. Nothing major. No mention of the girl. No mention of the photo. Just silence where the truth should have been. That was the night something in me shifted. I started checking his phone when he left the room. I memorized the names that popped up on his notifications. I even created a fake account just to keep track of that girl's Instagram stories. Every time I saw him like one of her posts, it felt like betrayal, tiny daggers adding up, one after the other. The jealousy grew into paranoia. He'd laugh at a text and I'd immediately wonder, was it her? Was he hiding something? He'd stay late at the library, and I'd convince myself he wasn't alone. Every unanswered call, every delayed reply, every casual dismissal became proof in my head that I was right to feel this way. Finally, I broke. I confronted him. My voice was shaking, and I blurted out, "Who is she? Why do you keep hiding things from me? Do you think I'm stupid?" Ryan looked stunned. He swore nothing was going on. He said the girl was just a classmate, that the photo meant nothing, that he hadn't told me because he didn't think it mattered. But the way he avoided eye contact, the way he got defensive instead of reassuring, it didn't sit right. The worst part, a week later, I found out he had been lying. That girl, she wasn't just a classmate. She was someone he had been studying with almost every night, and the reason he kept his phone face down. Because their conversations weren't about school, they were about us. About how he sometimes felt suffocated by my jealousy. About how she understood him better. Reading those messages felt like being stabbed in the chest. My jealousy hadn't been paranoia, it had been instinct. My gut had known something was wrong, even when he swore I was imagining things. And instead of trusting me, instead of being honest, he had painted me as crazy while feeding another girl details about our relationship. The betrayal wasn't just that he talked to her, it was that he used my worst fear against me, turning my jealousy into a weapon to make me doubt myself while he slowly gave pieces of our relationship away to someone else. So, aitah for being jealous of my boyfriend. Or was the jealousy just the truth I couldn't yet prove? After I read those messages between Ryan and the girl, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. It wasn't just the words, it was the tone. The intimacy of how he shared my flaws with her, the way he let her laugh at me, call me clingy and too emotional. He never defended me. He just let her tear me down while he agreed, like they were allies against me instead of him being my partner. I didn't tell him right away that I knew. I couldn't. I needed time to process. I carried that secret for 2 days, acting normal while my heart boiled with anger. Every time he kissed me, I wondered if he was secretly comparing me to her. Every time he texted, I wondered if it was her on the other end. Finally, I couldn't hold it anymore. One evening, when he came over, I calmly asked, "So how's your classmate?" He looked at me, startled. "Which one?" I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshot I had taken of their conversation. I shoved it in front of him. His face went pale. His mouth opened and closed like he was scrambling for words. "Why? Ryan." My voice cracked. "Why would you talk about me like that? Why would you lie about who she was?" He ran his hands through his hair, pacing. "It's not what it looks like, okay? I swear. I didn't cheat. We're just friends." I was venting. I cut him off, my voice rising. You told her I suffocate you. You told her she understands you better. Do you know what that feels like? Do you even care how much that hurts? He went silent. That silence told me everything. I told him to leave. He begged me not to, said I was overreacting, said he only talked to her because I was too jealous all the time. That last part cut the deepest. He turned my instincts, my fear of betrayal into the excuse for betraying me. When he left that night, I collapsed on the floor and cried until I couldn't breathe. But here's where it gets worse. The girl. She reached out to me. At first, I didn't want to read her message, but curiosity won. She wrote, "You deserve the truth. Ryan told me he was planning to leave you eventually. He just didn't know how to do it without looking like the bad guy. He told me you'd never let him go, that you were too dependent on him. He said he loved me. But now I see he was probably lying to both of us." That was the moment everything shattered. He hadn't just betrayed me with lies, he betrayed her, too. He played us both, dangling his affection like a prize, making us compete without even knowing it. I blocked his number that night. But Ryan wasn't done. For weeks, he showed up at my dorm, sent flowers, left notes under my door. He wrote me long texts about how I was the only one who really knew him. He even claimed she was just a distraction, that he realized too late that I was the one he truly wanted. But I couldn't go back. Because every time I closed my eyes, I saw that screenshot. The words he had written. The laughter emojis she had sent when he mocked me. The betrayal of knowing he let someone else see me as a joke. Here's the part I'm still struggling with. Some nights, I miss him. I miss the early days when everything felt magical. I miss the way he held my hand, the way he made me laugh, the way he told me he loved me. But then I remember he told her those things too. Maybe not the same words, but the same intimacy. And suddenly, all those good memories feel poisoned. So here I am, months later, asking myself, am I the asshole for being jealous? Was it my jealousy that drove him to her? Or was my jealousy the very thing that saved me because it forced me to see the truth he was so desperately trying to hide? Maybe jealousy isn't weakness. Maybe it's survival. Ryan didn't give up easily. After weeks of silence, I thought he had finally moved on. I started to heal, piece by piece, even if the cracks in my trust were still jagged. Then one evening, my best friend, Emily, called me in a panic. "You need to sit down," she said. My stomach sank. "What happened?" She hesitated. "Ryan's been reaching out to me." I froze. My heart started pounding so hard I could barely hear her words. "What do you mean?" I asked slowly. "He texted me? At first, it was casual asking if I'd seen you, if I thought you'd forgive him. But then he started crossing lines. He said he always thought I was pretty, that if things had been different, maybe he and I didn't let her finish. My entire body went numb. This wasn't just about me anymore. Ryan wasn't simply a guy who made one mistake. He was a pattern, a walking betrayal. I demanded to see the messages, and Emily sent me screenshots. There they were, his words, dripping with the same charm he once used on me. "You get me in a way she never could. I feel like you understand my soul." He had recycled the exact same lines. It was like being slapped with déjà vu, only this time the betrayal had spread into the one friendship I still trusted. I met Emily the next day. We sat at a cafe, both of us shaken. "I didn't reply to him," she said firmly. "I wanted you to see it first. I'm not going to betray you like that. I swear." Her loyalty should have comforted me, but instead, it broke me even more. Because now I realized how fragile everything in my life had become. I had to constantly question whether the people closest to me were truly on my side, or if they were secretly waiting for me to stumble so they could take what was mine. Later that week, Ryan showed up at my apartment again. He looked tired, desperate. "Please," he begged, "just hear me out." Against my better judgment, I let him inside. Maybe part of me wanted to hear his excuses, to finally understand why he kept doing this. "I messed up," he admitted, slumping onto the couch. "I didn't know how to handle us. You're intense, you feel everything so deeply, and sometimes I felt suffocated. So I looked for validation somewhere else. But it didn't mean I didn't love you. I stared at him, feeling anger bubble beneath my skin. You didn't just look for validation, Ryan. You trashed me behind my back. You made me the villain in your stories so other women would feel sorry for you. That's not love. That's manipulation. He didn't answer. Instead, he reached for my hand. Can't we just start over? I pulled away. Start over? With what? Lies stacked on lies? With me constantly wondering who else you're confiding in, who else you're telling that I'm too much, too jealous, too clingy. His face hardened then. The desperation cracked into something colder. Maybe if you weren't so jealous, I wouldn't have needed to talk to anyone else. That was it. The final dagger. He wasn't sorry. Not really. He wanted me to carry the blame for his betrayal. I stood up and pointed to the door. Get out. For the first time, he didn't argue. He just left. But the damage lingered. Even after he was gone, the words stuck like poison. Maybe he was right. Maybe my jealousy had ruined us. Maybe I had driven him away. But then I remembered Emily's screenshots. He had already moved on to someone else, even while begging for forgiveness. It wasn't about my jealousy. It was about his inability to stay loyal. I've cut him off completely now. Blocked, deleted, erased. But I still wrestle with the questions late at night. Am I broken for being so jealous? Or was I simply seeing the truth long before I wanted to admit it? And here is the bitter twist. Sometimes I still dream about him. Sometimes I wake up missing his voice, his warmth, his hand in mine. And then I remember the other hand he was probably holding at the same time. Trust is fragile. Love is brutal. And betrayal doesn't just end when the person leaves, it lingers, like a shadow you can't quite step out of.